Hey folks, welcome to Spooky Appalachia. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Donald.
And we're in Statesville, North Carolina. As you can see, we're right next to some train tracks here. Just a little bit down there, there is a bridge where a pretty horrendous accident happened in 1891, I think it was.
I think it was August 27th, 1891, right around 2 a.m. in the morning.
There was a train coming across the track and it fell off the bridge there.
Yeah, so Bostian Bridge goes over Third Creek down there, and train 9 coming from Statesville going to Asheville, and apparently it derailed down there.
Yeah, and fell off the side.
So over 100 years ago, I don't think they know exactly what caused it, whether it was negligence, issues with vehicles, conspiracy, someone caused it.
UFO.
Yeah, there have been Bigfoot down here. There's a lot of trees. No, but seriously, the train derailed, killing 22 people, many others injured.
Oh, interestingly, I think I read about 100 years later, there was a guy trespassing on the tracks at that same spot, going across that bridge and got hit by a train.
Oh,
Same
wow.
date.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But
sucks.
we'll tell you more about the haunting stories that we have heard in just a bit.
The Bostian Bridge, located just west of Statesville, North Carolina. A 60-foot high, 5-span brick tower bridge crossing Third Creek. This 130-year-old bridge was the site of a terrible accident that took the lives of 23 people, making it one of the worst railroad disasters in North Carolina's history. On August 27, 1891, engine number 9 left Statesville around 2:30 to 3 a.m., pulling 6 cars. According to station hands, engineer William West was around 30 minutes late and left Statesville in a hurry. Less than 5 minutes after leaving, the train plunged off the bridge. According to survivors, the train was literally airborne when it derailed due to the speed at which it was moving. Some have said it was caused by unknown persons removing spikes from the rails. Others blamed the track's neglected condition, but ultimately the cause of the wreck remains unknown. There's a legend that surrounds this wreckage. The story goes something like this. 50 years later, very early in the morning of August 27, 1941, a woman was waiting along the road that ran beside the railroad tracks near Statesville. Her husband had gone to get help after their car had a flat tire. The woman heard a train whistle in the distance. A headlight appeared down the tracks, sweeping through the trees as the engine approached. The woman noticed the huge bridge in front of the train. As the engine began to cross it, she heard a horrible crash. She saw the train plunge off the bridge, its old-fashioned wooden passenger cars splintering into pieces. They piled into a jagged mound below. The woman could hear the screams and groans of wounded people. She ran across the road and through the field to the side of the creek. Up close, the sight was even more terrible. The engine, its tender and passenger cars formed a twisted mess of wreckage being flooded by the waters of Third Creek. Hearing a car pull up on the road behind her, the woman ran back across the field, screaming that a terrible train wreck had just happened. Her husband was in the car with a stranger, the man who owned the country store just down the road. The three of them headed back across the field and looked down into the quiet waters of Third Creek. No wreck was there. Of course, the men thought that the woman had fallen asleep and dreamt the whole thing. But when they continued their trip, she had her husband stop by the Statesville train station to find out if there had in fact been a wreck. When the couple asked at the ticket window, the station agent looked up from his work. "It's funny you should ask that," he said. "There was no wreck on the railroad last night, but 50 years ago, to this day, there was a horrible wreck out there on the Bostian Bridge." As he said this, the woman screamed and fainted. She knew that she had just seen a ghost train. Another incident occurred on August 27, 2010, when a group of individuals who considered themselves amateur ghost hunters gathered at the bridge hoping to catch a glimpse of the ghost train. Unfortunately, an actual train came down the tracks between 2:30 and 3 a.m., the same time they anticipated a sighting of the ghost train. The group did not immediately run from it, initially believing it was, in fact, the ghost train. And sadly, one person who had ventured too far onto the bridge itself died at the scene, while 2 others were injured. So folks, please do not walk on active tracks and be careful. Another story comes directly from one of our listeners that we met during our trip to the Brown Mountain Lights Overlook. While up there, we met several wonderful ladies, one of them named Kim, who shared with us her story related to this very bridge. Sometime back, she lived near this area, and late one night, she heard a loud, terrible noise. A large crashing sound that came from the direction of the bridge where the tracks crossed over the creek. She got up the next day and checked the news, but there was nothing about a train wreck nearby. Later at work, she asked others if they had heard the noise or seen anything on the news about a wreck, but had no luck. Finally, one person spoke up and told her about the accident of 1891 and explained that this very bridge is the site of a repeating ghost wreck, one that some folks are lucky or unlucky enough to experience. And so because of Kim's story, we went here to record this bridge and talk a little about it. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed. Now let's get back to Jimmy for that outro.
Some interesting history.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's a great mix for Spooky Appalachia. And thank you to Kim who told us about this.
Yep. It's a good little trip down.
If you like this video, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and check us out in the future. Good night, folks.